Let's take a look at the arts part 4. A point I just brought up. The great artist is a simplifier. Rather than make things complex, let's make things simple. Let's simplify things. Okay, I'm glad we actually did that circle activity this afternoon, pardon me, because today's topic is the connections between the arts and the sciences, the traditional sciences, including mathematics, which isn't really a science per se, but in that same genre, okay? So the two sides have been accused of interfering with one another, right? Scientists often say things like, the arts, you're just wasting your time on the arts. But English writer D.H. Lawrence said, and I like this quote a lot, knowledge has killed the sun. It's made it a ball of gas with spots. What did D.S. Lawrence mean by that quote? So the knowledge of it ruined it. Okay, so here's a question for you. If you were the superintendent of St. James School Division and you had to make budget cuts, you had to, okay? Would you cut courses in sciences or in arts? Why?
Because you need sciences to get into university.
Okay, let's keep expanding on that. Okay, so the first point was university. Okay, so you're saying that the purpose of the St. James School Division is to put kids in university.
Not necessarily, but like educational, like if you look at what we have to take, what are mandatory courses?
Right.
Math and sciences are mandatory courses.
Okay, but this is also a bigger question. Why are they mandatory courses?
Because it's more productive to our society.
Okay.
More
Okay, let's dig into that. And I think that speaks a little bit to your point, right, Cash?
You got to look at it mathematically. How many jobs are there that involve science and math?
Okay, let's stop there on that point. Is the purpose of a public school system to make you have a job? Is it the purpose or a purpose? A purpose, okay. Would you rank it as a high purpose? Okay. Would you rank it as the highest purpose?
No, the highest purpose is to break it down and make it correct. That's the top priority.
Then we're doing a bad job. Out of the total number of school days, I don't know how many you've broken down and cried in, but it couldn't be a high percentage. I think you guys know where I'm getting at with this. It's a tough call, isn't it? But that usually is the call that's made, is that those courses get cut. Now, we've already just spent 3 other classes looking at maybe the importance of the arts and how it contributes to society as a whole. But it seems like we always lowball it as a priority. Okay, and the question would be, again, kind of why? Like, why is that the case? Is that the right thing? Again, I started by saying, like, imagine the world without those things. If that was the decision made by societies for a long time, we didn't have the arts at all, it might be difficult. Now, it's interesting, last year's TOK class made the argument that the arts is something you can expand on outside of the school setting. That the school setting is what locks you into these, and these are covered outside the school. And very often they're pursued by people of their own desires, but we don't always desire to study science and math if given it to ourselves. What do you guys think of that argument? Dahlia?
Just with the one you choose, like the sciences over the arts, for example.
Yeah.
That could be like, I know when I was little, my mom, like when I would come home with my report card, like she'd be like, she'd only look at what I got from math and
Right.
science. She didn't care about English or anything else.
Yep.
That could be just also passed down with these views that we have.
Well, I don't disagree, and I don't think it's just your parents. I think society as a whole passes that on. There is this sort of snobbiness that the arts is like a relaxation activity and not a serious pursuit of knowledge. But that's my point, is to challenge that in this unit, right? It's to challenge that position. Absolutely, we should challenge that position. Okay? Art can amplify man's short time on this earth by enabling him to receive from another the whole range of someone else's lifelong experiences with all their problems, colors, and flavors. Again, think of what this author is saying in what he's saying. He's saying that only through the arts can you transmit to somebody your life experience. That you, in the sciences, maybe you can't do that. That's what kind of it's being said there. Okay, so let's expand on this. Despite the differences there are similarities between the arts and the sciences. Biggest striking one to me is that they both look at pattern seeking, right? If you think about what a true artist, a true musician does, they are studying and working with patterns, okay? Think about what a scientist does. They analyze and look for patterns. Mathematics is all about patterns. That's the patterns of mathematics. I mean, usually you helped someone with a math pattern problem just this morning in my morning class, right? Yeah, I mean, this happens. Now, in the sciences, the patterns are very mathematical in nature. Are they that way in the arts as well? Many true artists would argue that there is a lot of mathematical patterns in, say, music. A lot of people who perform ballet will talk about the scientific precision of a certain move. That's the case. Now, if that's the case, that you can see how artists can appeal to the sciences in their descriptions of their things, do scientists appeal to the arts in their description of things? Okay? Like, would a poet describe the scientific nature of their poetry? Okay? But would a scientist describe the poetic nature of his formula? Interesting to look at. Okay. So, a scientist would require imagination to come up with new theories. I think that might be something to consider. Albert Einstein once observed that the theory of relativity, he actually stated that it was just too beautiful to be false. Now, look at the imagery that he's using and the way he described it. Beauty in a theory. We don't normally think of scientific theories as being beautiful. But him, the creator of that theory, thought that. And as a matter of fact, for him to actually come up with this theory, he had to move beyond the patterns that the current theories were locking him into. He had to think beyond Newtonian physics. You know, like Newton came up with a set of physics laws that described the motions of planets. In order for Einstein to come up with his theory, he had to throw that away. He had to discard the patterns that were laid out in front of him and come up with new ones, which might be what you'd call imagination, that he was able to break outside that box. Now, we don't think of scientists as generally doing that, as going beyond, like breaking the rules. Like in math class, you're taught how to factor a formula, and you go, you know what, screw that, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to come up with my own brand new way to factor this. You don't generally think that way. But in the arts, I think you do that all the time. As a matter of fact, I heard from a student just today how she was upset that I provided a set of rules for an art activity. She said, she stood somewhere around this area of my room and said how she didn't like that there was these rules to this poetry activity. Yet in the arts, you break those rules. But in the sciences, you don't question them. So maybe we can learn in the sciences from the arts that yes, you can break rules, and like Einstein did, those breaking of the rules might actually develop something new and revolutionary. Yes, ma'am? I'm saying breaking the rules isn't necessarily a bad thing in that case. Maybe you would have developed a poem that you would have not complained about when you read it to the class. Okay. Art does not reproduce the visible, rather it makes visible. That's a deep one. You have to think about that one. Okay. So here's a bigger question. Is art discovered or is it invented? Now, let me get into what I mean by that, okay? Many artists, Michelangelo an example, say that when he carved these out of stone in these things called the prisoners, that the sculpture was always there. He was just removing the pieces that hid it. He said, I didn't carve this out of the stone, it was in the stone. I just removed the pieces that was in the way of you seeing it. And as a matter of fact, he left pieces of stone there to kind of illustrate that point. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that hard to accept. I think, well, wait a minute. I don't know if I could have revealed this in the stone. I think he created that out of the stone, which he lied, yeah. Well, which kind of makes the thing, like, did he invent this, or did he just discover it, that it was there? Now, think about the way we think about the arts that way. Did someone invent the theory of relativity, or did they just discover the theory of relativity?
Wait, can we not talk about theory of relativity?
Sure.
Because we don't really know about it.
Sure. Let's pick something you do know. How about the Pythagorean theorem of triangles? I assume you know that one, right? Was that discovered or invented? Okay, how are you defining that, though? Like, what do you mean it was just discovered? That means that Pythagoras was just the first guy to discover it?
Yeah, he was messing around with triangles.
Okay.
And he realized that plus that equals
Sure.
that.
Gotcha. I accept what you're saying. Now, with the arts, would you say that if Michelangelo had not discovered this, someone else would have discovered this in that rock? That some other artist would have discovered this figure in that rock. Do you think so?
I think he might have discovered it slightly differently because what he's saying
Slightly differently, okay.
this was his vision, but he just kind of helped you see his vision.
Would you apply the same logic to the sciences? Do you think somebody else would have discovered what Pythagoras discovered slightly differently? Okay, so you guys are totally on board with the whole discovered thing. So in other words, there's no such thing as an invented piece of art and no such thing as invented sciences. I'm with you, okay? It is controversial, though. I would say it's more intuitive to think of the sciences as discovery science, that we're kind of just discovering things through science. And we tend to think of the arts as more of an inventive form, where we're inventing new things, okay? But think of it this way. I'm going to give you guys a scenario. There's a house, there's a building burning down. And you're going to run in and save something, but you only have time to save one thing. Inside that burning building is the only copy of Darwin's Origin of Species, the only known copy. I know there are multiple copies, but let's say they were all destroyed. This is the only one we had, and the only copy of Hamlet. They're the only two copies of those books that exist in all the world. You've got time to save one. Which one do you save? Darwin? Anyone disagree? You'd save Hamlet? Okay. Why would you save Darwin's Origin of Species?
Honestly, at this moment, this is going to sound really weird. I was reading Hamlet in English class and it just
Okay. So it's a like thing, a dislike thing. Okay.
at this moment right now in time.
Would anyone save the Origin of Species for a different reason other than that they just dislike it? You guys are just really sour on Hamlet right now, right? Why would you save it?
It will help the development of science, and we could possibly, like, it's
So it's sort of more important? Is that what you're saying? So related to our earlier discussion, right? Okay, Cash, you had the opposite opinion. Why would you save Hamlet?
Because when Shakespeare wrote it, he had his own vision.
Right?
And sometimes you can't really replicate that vision.
Okay.
But for Origin of Species, it's easier to discover.
So, yeah, if I could paraphrase what I think you're saying, tell me if I'm wrong, is you're saying, based on that discovery versus invention thing, that it would be easier to rediscover what he wrote in The Origin of Species, and that it would be way harder to rediscover Hamlet. That Hamlet was the creation of one man, and it was a little more inventive than The Origin of Species. Important as it was, scientists today could probably rediscover that quicker than some writer could rediscover Hamlet. Would that be an accurate kind of description? What do you guys think of that, who disagreed and thought The Origin of Species? Laura, you agree with Cash? Look at that. You've gained a follower with your argument. Jenna, what do you think?
I agreed too, and I said Hamlet.
Look at that, Delia. You're starting to be the. Well, no.
why do we need Hamlet?
Well, I don't know if that's the question, but it could be. It could be. Yeah, it absolutely could be. Yeah.
Why we need
Some could argue a need for this. Some could say, why do we need this?
well,
Depends how you define we, right, and the importance of that. Dahlia?
Something along the lines of like Hamlet's been recreated. Like,
Yeah.
For example, Lion King. Right?
Yeah.
Hamlet's kind of been recreated, and it's kind of like almost part of society. Like if you've never read Hamlet yourself, you still have to know the story because there have been like recreations and different like
Yeah.
organizations that have.
You know what? I accept your point. I totally accept your point. Absolutely. There's no wrong answers in TOK class, just about the questions.
But he's not saying you're going back and destroying Hamlet way back.
Wow. Yeah, sure. Yeah, correct, yeah.
Everything that revolved around Hamlet is being destroyed with that in the
Well, he didn't say that. Also,
True.
Shakespeare has other works.
Okay. How about let's go with your point, and we'll try something else on that, okay? Chess. You know the game chess? It's okay if you don't know of it, but do you or don't know the specifics of it, but you know it exists, right? Okay. Have you ever played it?
Me?
Yeah.
My grandpa used to make me play.
No, I said, have you ever played it?
Me, yes.
Yes. Has anyone in here never played chess? It's okay. Okay. Can you imagine that there are people in this building who have never played chess? Okay. So let's say chess is not that popular of a game. I don't know if it is or not, but let's say it's not. Let's say 100 years from now, it becomes less popular. People are too busy with other things, they stop playing chess. 200 years from now, almost nobody plays chess anymore. And because it's not being played anymore, all the chess boards start to get destroyed and recycled into other things. 300 years from now, nobody on the planet Earth plays chess. All the chess boards have been destroyed. And because it was so popular, all the historical records of chess have also, because they just wanted to make room for other things, they've been destroyed as well. There is no record of chess. Nobody has played chess. Nobody's grandfather or their grandfather has played chess. It's been so long that the chess itself does not exist on the planet Earth. Does chess exist at this point? Yeah. In the theoretical future I'm describing, is there still chess? Well, I said there isn't, though, right? Nobody plays it. So does it still exist? Okay, so it's no longer in existence, right? We have to accept my hypothetical, right? That nobody thinks of it anymore. No one knows how to play it. There are no chess boards. There's no historical records.
You know what chess is like?
Right. So could it be rediscovered?
No,
Why not?
because it's invented, right?
No, but nobody knows it's invented. That's like if you invent something tomorrow and die.
Yeah,
sorry,
but do
that's
you
like-
invent?
But just a minute. You guys said things couldn't be invented. You said it was always discovered. So before, because there was a point where there was no chess until the first chessboard was built. Was it discovered at that point?
No, it was invented.
Oh, it was invented at that point. So now let's turn it back to Hamlet. Was Hamlet invented by Shakespeare? Or was it discovered? It's a tough question. This is a big philosophical question. I love that you guys are debating it. This is a big question. This is the kind of stuff that TOK essays can be built with. And you don't have to answer the question. You can just present both sides. And then you can make a statement about which one you feel the strongest about. But you can see how much content there is there. Like how easily I can draw you guys into like a long discussion on this stuff. Think about that as it relates to your essay. It'll start writing itself as you start thinking that stuff. All right, clock watchers, hang on, we're almost there. So let's look at them in the end here, last section, as complements to one another. How do they complement each other? Okay? One could say that science looks at things from the outside, and the arts looks at things from the inside. Maybe this quote was from Einstein. Science doesn't give you the taste of the soup. Think about what that says. Science doesn't give you the taste of the soup. Right? Science can't tell you what good soup is, maybe. But the arts maybe can, right? Famous chefs can tell you what good soup is, but a famous scientist maybe can't, okay? Maybe. Maybe. Maybe it can, absolutely. All right, so maybe art is the language of emotion. Maybe we use the arts to help us to communicate emotion. Maybe that's a way we could look at it as a scientific complement. That, sure, we can study soup at a scientific level, but in order to really grasp soup, we also have to bring in the arts to help us understand the emotional connection to it. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have the technology to wire into the synapses of our brain, to wire into our hypothalamus, is that what it's called? And actually measure emotional response, and maybe we won't need that. Maybe the sciences will lead us there. Who knows? Maybe. We started the unit by saying what happens if an alien race crashed on Earth, or not crashed, landed on Earth, and posed the question, what is this thing called art? Okay? At a literal level, the aliens might have been right when they said that art is fiction and not fact. But maybe we've dug a little deeper in this unit, right? Maybe we've discovered that in the arts, we can pull out truths that we can't pull out of from the sciences. Maybe, for example, with the human condition, maybe you can study why someone loves someone else more deeply if you study it in an artistic way than in a scientific way. Maybe, okay? Maybe not. Maybe you're right, science people, as I'm guessing I'm dealing with a fairly scientific crowd here today because some of you are very anti-arts in a lot of ways. But maybe the arts is a necessary study to pull that deeper connection out. Okay, so sure, a world without the arts would imagine a year without music. Stop for a second. Imagine a year without music, or books, or film. Could you give it up for a year? Okay, no TV, no arts of any kind, so no books. Now wait, now just a minute. Would you guys call sports an art? I knew it, you knew what I was going to do there, right, Cash? So no books, no music, no sports. Could you go a year with that, like that?
Well, what do? You go to school and you come home.
Right. Exactly. No, you go home, you do more work, do more school. I mean, you can read, you just can't read fiction.
So
I could do that.
I could read history. Actually, I don't mind reading history books. So I'm good.
Okay, it's possible.
Can I sing to myself? Can I
No,
jam?
no arts whatsoever. And by the way, you're not going to eat any food. You're just going to have a tablet that meets all your nutritional needs all year as well. That's it. That's all you get. You will be, in the argument we had earlier in the class, you'll now be very, very focused on what some of you called more important things, what some of you called more, believe Cash said it was more mathematically important, or mathematically, I don't know if important was the right wording, but something like that.
You said there's no TV, but okay, I'm not gonna like say
Well, not-
TV because we all know it's not real. But could I, for example, watch E-News because that's not an art? It's news. They're giving me facts. They're telling me that Brandon and Angelina are adopting another kid, or that Jennifer Lawrence's photos leaked or whatever. It's not an art.
They're displaying that in an artistic manner. Because there's also, intros to all of that. And
Sure.
Well, they don't need to have
Yeah.
intros. They just tell me.
One thing I see you like to do, Dahlia, is like to play with my hypothetical. You like to look for the loopholes, which is good. I like that. But the whole idea of the hypothetical is to force the mindset that you shouldn't have to be able to escape from. And you are instinctively looking for the escape,
I don't like
okay?
being told what to do. That's
Well, and that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting thing that you need to get your head around is why do you need to always find that escape? All right. We're wrapping today, okay? I'm not like going to, drop a beat or anything like that, but we're finishing is what I meant. All right. Where is it?